Well, now that's evidence of a fuel leak for you. Right underneath the wing. Right, dripping from the lowest point. Well, I found my leak on this tank. I'm living the nightmare one more time. So last year I had a leak on this wing tank. I took it out and I put this removable cover on. Now this year, the other tank is leaking. It's in the same spot as it was on the other tank. This middle bulkhead that's inside the fuel tank. They're spot welded on the inside, and these welds penetrate through to this back, the outer skin, and I guess they're just not 100%. These ones here, these welds that are here actually look pretty good. They look like they may have been touched up on the back side. I don't know. So this is the tank out of the airplane in the back of my SUV. Now this is this is this middle strap, and this is where the baffles are inside the tank. So there's hard points and there's weld penetrations right here. So it's possible that either that is leaking or that is leaking, and the wettest spot was in this area. The tank is of course inverted because I've taken it out, but this was the lowest part of the tank when it's in the plane. And now fuel does evaporate, but I've got two-stroke oil mixed in my gas, and it does, I don't know if you can see it, shows up, but this spot here is wet on my finger, and it's probably the residual oil. Now I run my finger down here, I don't feel anything residual. So I definitely got to look carefully in this area. I had a quick look at the tank. This area in here, on the bottom, on this this hold down strap is wet from here back. There's actually also a touch. There's also fuel here. Okay. There's actually a little bit of fuel right there on the center strap. So any fuel that would leak in this area would run that way. Now this strap is dry, but this one is wet with fuel and this is wet with fuel. So I could have more than one pinhole. Well, that would be good, actually. Well, I've got it out. If there's a couple of pinholes, it'd be nice to get it worked on and get them both fixed. Fortunately, I can't weld aluminum, so I've got to take this somewhere. Last year when I did it, I got charged about 120 bucks. That's a pretty good price. Considering, $80 to $100 an hour, you're looking at an hour and a half work. Anybody starting out who thinks they can just TIG weld their own gas tank is definitely a daydreamer. But to weld a gas tank on an aircraft, you want some practice. Not something I'm about to try to learn myself. Just put some more soapy water on some more of these welds. If it has more than one leak, it sure would be nice to find them both. I don't see anything going on over there, and I've tried, when I go around, I test these things, check these fittings, all of those things. Look at that bubble. Now, one other concern is whether it's leaking inside these cross tubes. You really don't want the leak on the inside where these tubes cross inside the middle of the tank in here. That would be a real problem. So to test that, I'm going to try to get some of the soapy water inside the tubes and have a look. I need it set on something that will hold it, but yet let light come through those tubes. See if we can get some soapy water down in there. Well, we still got a bit of pressure. You don't see any bubbles when I do that. I turn it upside down and look through. Oh, I think we're good. One and only one leak. Jesus. This panel is approximately 43 inches by 32 inches. Now, because the ribs go on the same way on the spars on both sides, it'll be interesting to see if the panel for the other side is actually the same dimension. I won't be surprised if it's off by half an inch. We need to be able to attach to this area here and overlap this. Just this inner edge right there is where we want our sheet to come to there. And over here, it has to tie in to these holes in this panel, slide underneath. So it'll be a little bit beyond that. So let's get a measurement for that. Well, we had 43 by 32. I would say 43 here will do it. 32 here is plenty big enough too. So what I'll do to start is cut this panel an inch oversize in both directions so I can make it 33 this way and 44, 45 that way. What I recall from doing it the last time is I need the tank in place because I've got to get that hole for the, got to have the tank in place so that I can get the hole for the fuel filler neck. That's the most critical measurement. That can't move. So I can cut the panel roughly to size, and I got to bring it up and I got to measure that junction and make that cut. So. But in the meantime, there's a lot of other things I can do that I haven't even taken the tank to be welded yet. But I've got all the so just to repeat from what I did last year, I need to make attach tabs along the front edge here so that I can put fastener screws in. I've already got a hard point here. I don't have one at the back, and I have to attach to the spar and up here and create a hard point all the way across that portion so that I can put fasteners on the back. And the hardest part, or one of the hardest parts, is doing this rib, following the rib down and getting the, well actually the good part about this side is the flat side of the rib is facing into the bay, which means I'll be able to put those tabs right where I want them. On the other side, the rib was facing the opposite direction, and because it's got a rounded surface, it was dimpled, and the dimples didn't allow me to get the tabs all the way up. I had to put in some plexiglass filler to smooth that out. This side should be actually easier. I should be able to slide them right up to where I want. That's good to know. I dropped my fuel tank off this morning on the way to work, and to my surprise, it was finished today, in the same day. The weld that was made is here in my area of concern. It looks okay. It's not as nice as the weld that Sean did last year, but he's darn quick. And they assured me if it leaks, I can certainly bring it back, and they will help me out. Pressure tests with air, soap and water, and no bubbles looks good. Next step, I'm going to turn upside right. I'm going to put about 10 gallons of gas in it, and I need to prepare the surface so that I can detect if there is a leak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these nice clean shop towels, and if any fuel leaks out, they should show a stain on here. Air is one thing, fuel is another. Fuel has a nasty way of leaking through areas where you might not easily find an air leak, and it can take some time. This is the last sanity check before I put it inside the wing bay and commit myself to that extent. So 24 to 48 hours, we'll come back. There's blue shop cloths underneath here if it's going to leak. The fuel itself may not be detected in the cloth, but like I say, I said before, I put two-stroke oil in the gas. I need to for the Mazda engine. The oil residue will show up on the paper for sure, if there's a leak. And I sure hope there isn't. We take our piece of angled aluminum, about 1 inch by 1 inch, and you can see it doesn't fit the curve. So use the fluting pliers and round it. I made these, not the world's greatest tool, but they're going to work. Concept is you shrink the metal in here and it will cause it to go round. Curvature is actually very good. I made the piece intentionally a bit long. It looks like I need to trim it. The landing light wires are there. I'm going to have to remove some material there. I think I'll just cut a notch. Very nice. Okay, good start. So the right tank should be a mirror image of the left. Should. So I've taken the right tank skin and put it on top of the new left tank skin. And I've marked out the hole for the gas filler neck and the holes along here. Those will just give me a rough guideline, and you can see I've got about roughly 3/8 to half an inch of spare metal all the way around. Okay, time for the first trial fit with the filler neck hole in it. So something to note quickly is this will be the inside of the sheet, and I like to leave those watermarks on there so that if anybody looks at this at a later date, they'll know what material it is. 6061 T6 032. Well, the fit is good. Looking at this gas tank and the fact that I had to get it welded because it was leaking, it was welded here. And last year I had a leak in the right wing tank. Now I've got a leak in the left wing tank, which is here. A good question would be why? There could be a few reasons for that. I think the main reason is the original manufacturing of the tank wasn't perfect. It was early stages in the development of the company from which I bought it from. Don't think they had their techniques 100%. If it's got anything to do with me, I had a leak in one tank last year, now I got a leak in this tank, so 1 year later, what's going on? I have been doing some stall practice, mainly trying to make some short landings. And as a result, I put the airplane down a little harder than I would normally do. So I made a few rough landings in the past year. That's the only thing I could have contributed to it. And in general, it's just metal fatigue. And I did have an accident 10 years ago. So vibration and stress, metal fatigue has just caused these junctions to break. Now, is it possible I'll have another leak? Yes, it is possible. I certainly hope not. I don't know if any other gas tanks, people are having problems with leaky gas tanks, but only time will tell for me, I guess. Almost done. Peel that back, we can see the patch here, the pink poly brush that's on the leading edge where I had to pull the anti-drag wire out. See the skin's in place, it's clecoed, all the holes are done. I'd be even closer to being done if I hadn't made this mistake. I needed an inspection panel here to look at the flaps, and it's ironic because I did the same thing over here on the other wing last year, and when I do something for the first time, I know I don't know what I'm doing. I take my time, I do things carefully. When I go about it the second time, I think I know what I'm doing, and I try to go a little bit faster, and this is the result. I made a mistake. I cut the fabric in the wrong bay. I needed to cut it here. Anyway, move on. So this has been patched. I got the poly brush on there, the pink stuff. I'm going to give this a good sanding with wet sandpaper with attention to the edge. This pink edge here, which is there to increase the glue area. You sand it. Then I will put on the what's called the poly spray, which is the aluminumized sunblock. We're going to start with that next. A little water on the paper and sand the fabric. Concentrating on the outer edges where the pinking is. You have to sand the whole thing, but you want to be careful in the center because you can't actually sand right through this cloth if you go at it too hard. As far as the process goes, the pink stuff is both an adhesive, gets the fabric to adhere to the surface, and it's also a filler. It fills in the fine pinholes, imperfections in the weave of the material. I'll go ahead and do the same at the back of the wing where the big patch is. So this is the next product in the process, which is the poly spray. You can see this says poly brush. Hard to see through all the paint lines, but that says poly spray. You're supposed to spray this stuff on. And normally I would, but because I'm just doing patches, I'm going to put it on with a tiny brush. So again, I'm going to put this on just using this tiny brush. I want to put enough material on here to cover, but not enough so that it runs on me. Again, this product is also considered an adhesive, but the main purpose of this silver stuff is to block out the ultraviolet rays of the sun. So I'll put 2 brush coats of this stuff on and sand them both quite well. And then once I've got it sanded and everything smooth, the last coat of it I put on will be a spray coat. So that's what it looks like now. That whole panel needs to be tightened up with an iron or a heat gun yet, but I'm not finished there, of course. So this is an angle from the front. The silver patch I was working on, it's hard to even see. It's right here. That's what we want. That's been repaired, painted. And in comparison, this is the one over here I did last year. Pretty much the same. Today is May the 8th, and I finally got all the work done repairing the gas tank, reinstalling it, putting the removable panel on the left wing. So I'm taking this angle because if you look at my website, there's a photo from before when it had just fabric. And now it has 2 wing tag panels. I think it looks all right with the wing tank panels. I must admit, I think it probably looks better, probably looks a little cleaner in all fabric, but hey, this is a whole lot more practical and going to be a lot better going forward. Less headaches if there ever is another leak in either of the fuel tanks. Knock on wood, let's hope not. I haven't flown it yet. Just run out of time. It takes so much time to do everything. I'm going to leave it. That'll be for another day.